Oh my goodness, we are live at the Big Festoon March 2025. This isn't just any normal conference, this is a show. If you truly want to be a business that is out there, that is going up, is growing, is a bit weird, wacky, and actually embraces all of that about yourself, the Big Festoon is something for you. We're going to give you a glimpse inside, and don't worry, we're going to tell you how you can be at the next one. Closed mouths don't get fed, and there is not a closed mouth in this room, I can guarantee it.
It's a wrap.
Hello and welcome back to the Big Festoon March 2025 video podcast pop-up studio. I am being joined by the sensational Amy Butterworth, who was on stage yesterday and was speaking to us. Amy, welcome to the studio and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Tell everyone your incredible story.
I'm the long COVID Rockstar online because I got COVID in July 2021 and it gave me a disability of chronic fatigue, brain fog, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which means I can't breathe sometimes if I'm sat up. And that has completely changed how I work, which is almost nothing now. I walk with a stick. If I'm going further than 20 or 30 meters, I'll need a wheelchair. And it has made me more passionate about advocacy and accessibility and inclusion and diversity, which I was an advocate for before. I was an ally before, and now I'm it. And what's really important is it being in spaces like this, where everyone else has come from a place of trauma, challenge, overcoming something from a marginalized background and continually oppressed, overlooked, or ignored by a system that is too scared to hear them speak. And it is a honor to be able to use the privilege that I have of education, middle class, whiteness, whatever, to go, you are missing out on these people because you're too lazy and you're too scared to make space for them. And so I use my righteous anger that I have recently discovered to either speak on behalf of this community or speak alongside or make room for, which is a thing that allies need to do.
Yeah.
To make room. They can't keep speaking in front of, they need to speak beside or behind. And that's what we can do here, and that's what because of today and yesterday, I'm going to be doing more of.
That is incredible. So you were an ally beforehand.
Yeah.
And okay, a world-changing event, but for some others, that's not necessarily a world-changing event. It's an incident, an accident, a trauma, a born with, all of a sudden changed your life, and now you're an advocate with and for and fighting in a powerhouse. Where does that strength come from?
What a question. I became quite aware of my own privilege quite early on, coming from a stable home, a loving home, which I realized was not the norm, and recognizing that if you have something more than someone else, it is your duty to share it. And so I was in youth work and youth coaching and education, in designing inclusive practices, making sure that young people who were squeezed or kicked out of the system, so young people from immigrant families or with neurodiversity at school, and making sure that I am letting them know that the system is not designed for them, but you deserve to be here, you deserve to succeed, and people like me need to be lending their privilege to those voices and to those arguments. The strength comes from... Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, please.
Because it's really fucking obvious.
Yeah.
It's really fucking obvious that we need to be including the marginalized voices because they're the ones that are going to be taking us forward. And the mainstream system is scared of forward because they're scared of being left behind, like the people that they oppress. So maybe if you listen to them, you can work next to them and then no one's left behind. That's what inclusion is. It's really fucking obvious.
And this is it, like, I don't want to criticise the education system too much and tear it down, because within the education system there's some phenomenal teachers and headmasters and mistresses and educators that are trying to disrupt it, but are silenced. And and there's
they're
many
phenomenal despite the system, not because of the system.
And what we saw with COVID with our children was that they saw a new way of teaching and it worked. But when the world opened back up again, the archaicness fell right back into.
Yes.
And it was like, hang on, like, I know there was a lot of children that obviously through the households they were in struggled. And I understand that. So school should be a saviour, not then a place that is more challenging for them.
And punishing them for having fallen behind. And exactly the same thing happened in spaces of employment.
Yes.
So a lot of people with neurodivergence or introverts or those with disabilities thrived in lockdown because they didn't have to commute, or they could close the laptop, or they could figure out how to engage and work in a whole new way. And now they're being forced back into the office or to work in the old ways because presenteeism and capitalism and the violence that has on people's natural way of being. Young people really suffered and struggled in lockdown, and some really thrived, and schools are forcing them back into this old-fashioned, like you say, archaic way of learning without having learnt the lessons.
It's the weirdest thing that the biggest education system didn't learn a lesson from the biggest teaching.
I think they did learn the lesson, but they couldn't have the courage or the creativity or the commitment to adapt onwards. They had to regain control.
Yeah.
And now even more people are suffering. That's why it's really fucking stupid.
It's a really interesting way. I've not heard that point of view, and I love that, and it makes sense, that way of thinking. So how did you end up becoming involved in the Big Festoon?
I can't remember how I came across Danny Wallace, but I signed up to her newsletter because I was like, energy, inclusion, vibes, woman, leader. And I signed up to one of her 15-minute conversations. She's like, I've got 15-minute gaps, I'm doing free chats. And there was something in the email that says something like, are you ready to take it to the next level? And you're like, yeah. Yeah, yes. So I was like, hi, I don't know what I'm talking to you about, but I think I was out of work for 2 years with long COVID. I'm not able to work full time. I can work 2 hours a week still. This is a lot. So I was like, I was able to engage with my professional network last year and go, look, from my experiences and also my expertise, I still hold a master's degree. I still hold 20 years worth of work experience.
None of that stops.
I'm still brilliant. I'm just tired with it. And I don't know what it is that I can do with this yet. So she's like, neither do I. Let's figure this out. And she invited me to her premiere of her extraordinary documentary, and then we spoke about maybe being a speaker here. And then she's like, maybe we should have a conversation instead. So my slot yesterday was us in conversation about how to show up for your community when you can't sit up. Because 70% of my day is lying down and not being able to breathe properly or not being able to engage with other people. So that's why I created Long COVID Rockstar a year ago, so that I could show what long COVID is like, give hard relate to other people going through the same thing, and also here's how you still go to gigs. Here's how you still maintain yourself, capital S. Here's why you still matter, even if capitalism thinks you don't. Or even if your friends think that you aren't yourself anymore. You fucking are. You're a different version of it. You're not supposed to go back to who you are. You're not supposed to get better. You are absolutely at your best today, Tuesday.
Yeah. We only grow from here.
We only grow from here.
what have you taken away from the event whilst you've been here?
I've taken away... One of the things about getting long COVID is I can't speak to more than one person at a time. And I don't have the energy to interrupt anymore. So I listen a lot more. And it makes for the most extraordinary stories to be revealed. And one of the things about this community, as in literally every other community, at every other business conference around the world, there are people with stories of grief, tragedy, overcome, trauma. They just don't talk about it because it's not about market sales. And they're all men who can't talk about it. And we don't have emotions at work or bodies. But what I've taken from here is individual stories that will carry with me and amplify my own voice, because I understand now who else I'm speaking on behalf of. That's why the message from my talk yesterday was, we need you rested and we need you weird, because it's your weirdness that makes you you, and that's what makes this community. I don't need you to repress that, because otherwise who else am I fighting for?
But actually, isn't that what we all fall in love with each other? They're weird.
Weird.
Like, because you actually end up saying, I wish I were like, I wish I could. And actually, I don't wish, I want to be me.
I can. Yeah.
And look at you being you. So do you know what? I'm going to stand here, I'm going to own me, and I'm going to be me.
So those stories, the fact that what I said help people who don't have long COVID. They have other things. And that's what's really important about stories, is that your very specific, unique, weird story has a universal resonance. That's why we need to hear it.
Yeah. I love it. And thank you so much for joining us. How else can people... We're going to grab socials and things and put them all in the description. What's next for you? How else can we support you?
That's a lovely question. We need allies to fight the disability cuts. We need you to fight for including more disabled people in work. You need to speak to HR about giving options for job shares, for part-time work, for people with disabilities being your consultants. So on a couple of hours a week, you can get the best, most highly valuable advice from the most highly skilled, lived experience person, and then she can go back to bed while you carry on what she tells you to do. So pay attention to what disabled people can bring your community and to your workplace, and listen to what they have to say, because they are going to help you innovate and get you to the place where you want your business to go, but you don't figure it out yet.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Like I say, we're going to put all your contact details below so people can come and find out more from you, support you, and get that advice, get that guidance from the long COVID Rockstar.
Yes, long COVID Rockstar, yes.
Thank you so much,
Thank
my
you, Rachel.
lovely.
Really appreciate you.